Hi, I'm Linus. In this video, I'm going to show you how to use your Deck Data Hub and dissolved oxygen sensors. If you were part of this project last year, the concept is the same, but we've taken your feedback and made the system better. So the setup is a little bit different. It's a little bit easier to use. So I'm going to show you how to use the new equipment. So let's dive in. I'm going to give a little overview of how the system works. So this deck box will sit on your boat, and you'll plug it into either a wall outlet, or if your boat's configured for 12 volt, you can cut this cord right here by the after the power block, and then wire it for 12 volt if that's what your boat uses. And if you inspect the deck box, you'll notice that there is a button on the top that once you press it, it will turn blue, and the system will go through a series of checks to start up. And there are 3 buttons on the side that have various functionality that I'll talk about later in this video. And I also have sent you, or you probably have, several of these dissolved oxygen sensors. So they measure dissolved oxygen every 15 minutes. And you can mount them in the top of your crab pots by either zip ties or worm gear clamps. But when you are putting these in your pots, make sure to tie off on this copper guard here to the pot somewhere, just as an added precaution to make sure that they don't slip out. If you look at the body tube of the sensor here, you can notice these 2 grooves. That's a good place to mount your zip tie to the top of your crab pot. From last year's experience, it seems like above the tunnels in your pod, or if you have an older pod that's got a top bar, you can mount to that. Really, any way that is away from the tunnels, keep these out of the way, and won't impede the functionality of your pots. It seems like the best place to put these is either in the first pot or the last pot in your string. That way, you can have a little bit extra time to wait for the data to offload successfully. When you're out at sea, the sensor will automatically detect the deck box as soon as your pot with a sensor lands on deck, and it will take between 60 and a minute and a half, 60 seconds to a minute and a half to get the data off. And you'll notice that there's a series of messages that will display on your deck box letting you know how much the status of the transfer, whether it's connected to a sensor, and I'll show all of you this later in the video. All right, so now I'm going to show you what it looks like when this deck box is actually trying to get data from data loggers. So I am going to now start the program, and pretty quickly it's going to start picking up the loggers that I have running currently. So generally when you're out on the water, you won't see this or have to do anything. It'll automatically be running. I just wanted to slow this down so we could talk about it. So when we first open up the program, we will notice 4 icons here. So we've got on the top left, this is your GPS icon. The bottom left is your cell signal. Top right is your Bluetooth. And we can see now that it's querying logger number 32. So it started out scanning, and now it's querying. So this would be if a logger with a lands on deck inside a crab pot, it'll automatically detect it and start talking to it. And then once you see querying, it'll go to this file transferring. And this is when you'll notice that a transfer is being successful. So if you're keeping an eye on the deck box to make sure that the data is coming off successfully, look for this message right here. This is the important one. Sometimes they'll query and they'll drop the connection if there's interference or if it's not close enough. I have the sensors pretty close to the deck box currently. So then it'll say logger done. So that's good. And so after it does that, it'll automatically plot. So I'm not touching the deck box right now. It should automatically plot the data that it had been collecting. And here we go. So this is the time series for this location. So this is something you'll probably see out when you're out fishing as well. To understand this plot here, you can see the serial number for the logger, and as well as the date that it was collected. On the left is dissolved oxygen, and that's representing by the black line. So it's 8.4 up here at the top end, 8.3 down here at the low end. On the right, we have temperature in Fahrenheit. So same thing, you look at this red dashed line, and it corresponds to the ticks on the other side of the map. And I have the deck box in my hand now, and I'm going to show you the scale at which, by changing the scale, you're able to uh, um, look back past in time at plots. Currently, I'm only looking at the hour, so you can use there are three buttons on the side of your deck box that I showed at the beginning of this tutorial, and the black button will let you change your scale. So it's probably not going to. Okay, it did plot. So this is a 24-hour window, and you can see that this deck box has only been on for a few minutes, so there's not much data. But you can keep pressing the black button and changing the scale. So it starts out with the last hour. Now it's currently on the last um, day. I hit it again and it went to week. I'll press it one more time. It'll go to month, then to a year. So that's way more data than it has a necessity for, and you'll collect. So it's good to set the scale that's appropriate for what you're interested in. So if you're interested in the last hour, the last week, or the last month, you can keep pressing the black button and thumb through the scale. So it just depends on what you're interested in and how long the sensor has been collecting data. You can use the red button at the top of the deck, on the side of the deck box, to cycle between different plots. I think I only have one plot in here now, so it's not going to cycle, but if you had multiple plots, you could press the red button and just cycle through them. And you just press it once and it advances to the next one, and it'll just cycle through all that you have. And then you'll notice this other ribbon up here is for history. So this is a touch screen. You can touch all of these icons here and go to different pages. So this history ribbon will show you when and where a particular sensor was last seen. Again, these are all NA because it's been in the lab and they haven't been outside. But if you were out fishing, those would be filled with coordinates in the last position column. So going back to the information page, you'll notice that there's another button that I haven't described the use for. It's this blue button here. If you're out fishing and the loggers are not connecting, or they're trying to connect and are doing odd things and aren't sending the data, you can press the blue button and it will pop up with this note to purge all loggers lockout time. And you can hit OK. It's not going to erase any data, but see, now it picked up 2 new loggers. So it's requerying the logger that had already been done. So there's a lockout time that's associated with these. You don't need to know this for using it, but just keep in mind, if the sensor is not working, is not connecting like it should be, and it's getting frustrating, go ahead and just purge it by pressing the blue button and then hitting OK. And if you didn't mean to purge, you can just hit cancel and it will take you out of that window, just like this, cancel. So this is all touchscreen. You can touch around and play with this and get familiar. If you touch the boat icon here, so if you come to the history ribbon and touch the boat icon, you'll be kicked out of the program. So it'll close the program, which if the system is acting up, you've tried purging it, it's still not working, you can definitely press the boat icon to exit the program, and the way it's set up, it will automatically reconnect and restart the program, and that's just a kind of a way to soft reset the system. So if something's not working, that's a good place to start, but just keep that in mind as you're out there fishing. And that is everything that you need to know to use this system. It's really pretty straightforward. We made a lot of modifications based on your guys' feedback from last year, so I'm excited to see it used for this coming season. And as always, if there's any questions or things aren't quite right, or you just want someone to walk you through something a little more detailed, you all have my contact information and my phone number, so just give me a call anytime. I'm always happy to talk to anybody. Thanks.